for today's cup of coffee, we're going to be doing like freeform.
Yeah, we got...
Instead of doing just academic everything.
We both are low energy right now, so...
It's planetary alignments, and it's where we had...
We feel like shit, so people... Blah, 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 blah. So we just...
Well, it
no
is.
Script, no script, no
planetary
studies.
alignments combined with weather change. I think we're supposed to have time change back to normal.
At least macaroni isn't in mayonnaise again.
Well, that's true. I don't know. It's like pasta salad. I like pasta salad.
Mercury.
No, Mercury has already gone. I think
That's
it's
the macaroni
gone
and
direct.
mayonnaise.
I think it's either gone direct already or is getting ready to go direct. I'd have to look and see.
I better hurry up.
Well, whatever. And so it was a matter of us trying to do a video while I still had some semblance of sentence structure left, which doesn't happen that often these days.
Some. Not much, but some. We got some left.
Yeah.
Just a little lay down and watch YouTube videos.
Well, I think that's most of us this time of year. I think for those of us that, we suspect we're part plant people, it's time for hibernation. You can wake me up when spring gets here.
Wake me up when it's over.
Anyhow, and Kid automatically, he had not yawned until I turned the camera on.
No, I was yawning in my room.
Okay. What we're going to be talking about today, I do have one thing to share with you, and this is from dictionary.com.
Uh-huh.
And they can look that up for themselves. I don't need to put a link on that. And this is the word gruesome. And that goes along very much with Halloween. And so this definition, and I went through like 4 or 5 different definitions before I had something that was more than, basically a synonym.
Uh-huh.
It was like gruesome also equals grizzly.
That's gruesome right there. That
noise. Kiska makes some really disgusting noises, but it's because he has sinus issues. But their definition of gruesome is as an adjective, causing great horror, horribly repugnant, grisly, and their second definition is full of causing problems and distressing. Right now, Kiska is being gruesome because he is distressing me.
Be quiet for a second and just let him.
Well, no, because it's gross.
Let them hear it.
Well, he's quit now. That's a good thing. And that was him trying to clean his pow.
Well, his leg, yeah.
So, anyhow. At this time of year...
Nasty.
He does sound nasty. This time of year, we have a lot of gruesome scenes that are depicted. And that can be anything from alien autopsy. The guy there in town has this brilliant display, which we'll try to record that, especially at night. That's the thing, I don't drive at night as well anymore as I used to, but that's when you can see all the attractions the best, so we'll try to get out there in the next couple of nights. Mm-hmm. But one of the things he has is the alien autopsy, which is cool. I used to have an alien autopsy game.
Which was really cool too. I think you can still find that on eBay or something.
You can. They're like $50-some, and I think that was just for the alien. It didn't have all of the little body parts.
Well, see, we have the alien, so the other parts would be easy to find.
I don't know, but it was really cool. The game was that it was like he had been, if you want to call it dissected, he had the cut, the abdominal cut.
Yeah, he's dissected.
Cut.
It's like a dissection. It's
also,
autopsy.
And as far as the brain, and I don't remember if you had cards that you picked that you were supposed to extract whichever organ from it.
It was like a game of Operation.
Sort of, only...
Except without the buzzer.
Yeah, without the buzzer. So, it was cool. And so that could be considered gruesome by some.
Mm-hmm.
You have as far as severed limbs and heads and other body parts and organs and eyeballs and different things like that.
I think blood in general would be considered gruesome.
It could be. And so my question is not as much why does that fascinate and attract some as why is it that it repulses others so much? And
Which is a fair question.
Sure. And it's one of the things that I did briefly look at was, the fear response in people.
The fear response as to that sound that's coming out of his face right now as he digs his face into his own stomach.
That is very distracting to me because I did not take the Strattera today. There's a good possibility that I overdosed on chamomile last night.
You didn't overdose. You just what happens with you is the fact that it's strong, that it gives a more strong result because you are sensitive to that stuff.
Well, and it's just like the lavender.
You cannot overdose on it. You cannot overdose on
Not
chamomile.
really. No, I'm joking. It's over sedation. Is what happens. Valerian does me the same way. Any of those sedative types of herbs,
Melatonin.
I'm hypersensitive to. Yeah, I
Yes.
don't do the melatonin well either.
It gives me headaches.
But now, and it's like lavender. Everything is lavender, this, that, and the other, and it's like, no, it does not soothe me. It puts me to sleep for hours when I don't need to be asleep.
I don't like the smell of lavender that much.
But for those who can use it and love it, have at that. You can have I like citrus smells. Citrus is more invigorating. I do well with those, which has nothing to do with gruesomeness other than the fact that the cat probably needs some chamomile.
He needs some Benadryl.
He really does need some Benadryl. But when you have people that have this repulsion to anything that they seem that seems distressing to them, and there are some people like me being overly sensitive to the chamomile. Some of those are very overly sensitive to anything that they find distressing, disgusting, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's an individual response. I think some of it has to do with what they've been exposed to in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got somebody that has never really been exposed to anything, then they're going to freak out over everything. And we see that happening today. And people who live in a rural environment, in a farm environment, different things like that, they deal with disgusting, disturbing things every day.
They do deal with gruesome scenes every single day.
Sure.
When it comes to having to kill the animal and then skin it.
Doctor the animal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you hunt, then you have a greater appreciation because you know that was the sacrifice of an animal so that we can eat. It's that whole cycle of life thing.
The cycle of life.
Anybody who has, like I said, had livestock, it's like any other thing. If it gets sick, you have to try to treat it.
Yep.
Some of those things are not the most pleasant things to think about.
Our neighbors are not one.
No, they don't need farm animals.
They didn't even give them a proper burial.
No.
They threw them to the creek.
Yes, they did. They did.
And we saw it.
Yes.
So we can we can call the cops on that.
No, it was on their land. They had every right to.
But it was on the public. It was the creek, and that creek goes
still
everywhere.
That's still on their land. It wasn't. If there had been an animal that had died upstream, and we didn't know about it,
that's different.
No, it's not. It's the same thing. That's why you boil your water on stuff like that.
You clean it.
Yeah.
Why can't you just drink rainwater?
Well, you can, but you've got pollutants in the atmosphere now that it would probably be best to boil that before consuming it also.
Okay.
Anyhow, but if anybody has had cattle and you've got a cow that's getting ready to calve and it's a breech, now that can kill the calf and the cow. And so what needs to be done to take care of that situation can be considered quite gruesome.
Yes, I've seen it happen. Not in real life, but I've watched videos
Right.
on it just to study it, just to be like, okay, if I ever have to do this.
And that's you have to be a physically strong individual to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be considered gruesome. Anybody who has ever worked emergency work, if it's an EMT, if it's firefighter, paramedics, those people deal with gruesome on a daily basis.
Absolutely do.
And so they don't get upset about a lot of things because, again, the exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as having a dark sense of humor, macabre or morbid sense of humor, you laugh about these horrors and tragedies to keep your sanity.
Yeah.
And I think at Halloween, that's one of the things that people who have not experienced those things for real, firsthand, whatever, that there can be a fascination with it.
Like horror movies.
Yeah.
Saw is one of the most gruesome horror movie series out there. But there's a lot worse. There's a lot worse out there.
A lot of that, because I have seen stuff, that is not a fun way for me to spend an evening. Is, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of PTSD on stuff. But
I mean, there's a lot of movies that go even past gruesome.
I can't even.
Like, they're like...
Well, there's snuff films out there.
It's not snuff films. It's like they're close, but it's all fake. Snuff films usually have real
Oh yeah, that's real.
Like, this stuff is like, ooh, like for example, Cannibal Holocaust. Oh God.
No.
Oh God, do not watch that. What?
No. And
it makes you question: are these people human?
It does. It truly does. And then that's where you get people that are sadistic and that they may enjoy doing things like that because they enjoy inflicting pain on other people. Those people can see that stuff as sort of entertainment. Mm-hmm. And I would rather, if they have those tendencies, I'm hoping that would be like a cathartic thing for them to where they could view that and maybe that would quell those urges so that they didn't go out and actually hurt somebody.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I just can't watch that. No.
No, I don't.
I fucked up watching Cannibal Holocaust, and there was a lot more that I was like, ugh.
No. That's like the Saw movies. I saw the first one, and that was enough for me.
So the Saw movies don't do anything for me, as a matter of fact. And then later on, some of the scenes are actually more comical sometimes.
Well, yeah. Well, that was like some of the Freddy Krueger movies there towards the end. It was this horror comedy combination. Mm-hmm. They were gruesome. But it was...
They were campy.
There was this twisted sense of justice on some of the things. It's like where the bad people in the film or whatever, the assholes, they got their comeuppance. And that can be cathartic for the rest of us. It's like, where is justice? And it's like,
A lot of 80s horror movies are campy.
They were campy.
But that's wonderful about them.
Sure, that's why they're endearing, as opposed to some of the ones now that it's like, it is almost like the zombies, that no matter how much is consumed, there's never they're never filled. And I can't even, that can happen as far as somebody's brain, that you can view certain things and that you honestly need more and more and more. And we see that on a lot of, like the serotonin and dopamine responses with, with the TikTok, with different things that the Twitters and the tweeters and all that bunch of bullshit. That people, it's validating their experience. They're wanting other people to validate their experience rather than them validating their own.
Yeah, exactly. For some reason, people want external validation rather than do the work to have internal validation.
Well, and to me, that's kind of gruesome.
Yeah.
That someone can become that dependent on the views and opinions of someone that is a total stranger that knows nothing about them. Mm-hmm. And that some of these people take that to heart, sometimes to the point that they will do self-harm.
Yeah.
Now that's gruesome.
Absolutely, that's gruesome.
And that you have people out there that they know that they can have that effect on someone.
There are some people out there that they don't care.
Right.
That they have that effect on someone.
Right. And that's where people that are sort of naive and stuff, they need to understand not everybody is a good person.
Right. That's a bad thing about the internet.
Well, that's just
You're
the
You're
world.
exposed to everything.
That is the world.
Yeah.
But this is where people need to teach kids and stuff like that. And honestly, I think there should
This is why parents need
be
to
an
monitor.
age limit. Right.
Kids, period, should not be allowed on the internet.
Or not without adult supervision. Somebody to sit there and go, hey, yes, somebody said something about you. That person's probably just an asshole. They don't know you.
I disagree. I think they need to be at least 16 before they can go on the internet.
Well, I can see that.
Or older.
I can see that. As far as the bullying and different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that there have been quite a few truly gruesome things that have been shown on the internet, and where you have the ability to upload things immediately, and you can't unsee something.
No, you can't.
So as far as someone hurting someone else or someone hurting themselves, and that you've got people that are very much willing to watch that and clamor for more. Mm-hmm. Let's just go back and think about the gladiatorial games.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to do that.
And so that was very gruesome.
Yeah.
To watch someone ripped apart by a wild animal or any of this stuff.
Like, it's one thing if it's fake.
Right.
But if it's real, hell no.
Well, that's just like as far as public executions. Those were big draws. Mm-mm. I mean, everybody would come out to watch somebody be burned at the stake, beheaded, hanged, what have you. And so you have to wonder, what is it within some people that they would honestly want to go out and see that?
Don't know.
And those of us that have a tendency to be empathetic to the nth degree, sometimes when you literally can't experience the pain of another person or a thing, an animal or whatever that is hurting, that's not fun. Mm-mm. That is not fun for us.
No, it is not fun whatsoever. That's why I prefer to pay my attention to stuff like tofu.
Right.
The vegan zombie.
Exactly.
Even though that, by the way, if y'all don't know about Tofu the Vegan Zombie, please go watch the first episode on YouTube. It's the only episode, but it was a pilot. It never got caught on. The character never got that popular, but it needs recognition so he can try to do something with it again, because this is golden. It could be just as, I swear, it could be just as big as Invader Zim if it was given the chance.
Well, I could see that. It's actually a hilarious premise to have a vegan zombie
who has a block of tofu for a brain.
Yeah. So that's, like I said, I think that's rather
And there's a monkey,
amusing.
a talking monkey in the show. What more could you ask for?
So that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
One of the things that people try to do as far as with things that are gruesome is deal with their own mortality.
Mm.
To sit there and go, oh, shit, this could really happen. I remember as a small child when Uncle had a wreck and my father explaining that it had almost ripped off his brother's ear, and thinking, well, I didn't know those things could come off.
And Dad's morbid tales.
Oh, yeah.
God, yeah, I knew such and such. They died in such a way. They got their head crushed by a steamroller. They got
right.
something else. It's these horrific ways. That
Yeah,
like,
he can tell you a vast amount of ways
you, Dad,
people
but damn,
have
those are some gruesome stories.
Died in horrific ways.
They're hilarious sometimes, though. It's just like, what the? It's not like hilarious, like, haha, that happened to them. It's like, that's fucked up.
Right, it's one of those nervous laughters that you don't know exactly how to respond to that.
Yeah, but I still like to hear them. I do.
Well, it is interesting. And again, I think a lot of it has to do with people coping with their own mortality, the things that can go awry with the body, But you can't focus your entire day or life on that, because then you miss living. Mm-hmm. And that's the wonderful thing about Halloween. For one day or 1 month or whatever, you can go into the macabre. You can go into the gruesome, and people don't look at you as funny They're always going to look at us funny, baby. It's
fine
like
with me.
you all are those people. It's like, no, we actually have a very healthy concept of life.
Yeah.
You know, it is that momentum mori.
I'm just like,
Every day matters.
If whatever happens, whatever happens. It's like, what else is there to do? There's nothing. Just accept it.
If you ever watch...
Fine. Make some humor out of it at least to go on with your life.
If you ever watch the movies The Faces of Death,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched like 3 of them in a row because my question was, why do people fear death?
Probably because they have no idea where they'll end up.
That could be. And it's like, a lot of times it's not that people fear death, they fear pain.
Yeah. That's the thing too.
But it's interesting, and you know, even when I was going through psychology, people would look at me and go, you know, well, that's Halloween that I dressed up as a victim of necrophilia, and they looked at me funny.
Oh, that is fucked up.
They told us to be creative.
That's a little too creepy.
Well, no, it was.
I mean, that's hilarious, but that's like, ooh.
They didn't quite know what to do with me, but they still don't. Now the guy.
What happens when you put an art student in medical school?
Right.
There you go.
The guy that was the abnormal psychology professor, he got it. Dr. Caruth was wonderful. God bless him. He truly was great. And he would just look at me and he's like, I know what you're doing. And I'm like, what? He said, you're still in adolescence acting out. The reason I know this is because I'm doing it too. And he was in his 60s. He was close to retirement. He was wonderful. So it's not that some of us are ghoulish. We face these things. And in the faces of death, the ones that bothered me the most were not the ones where the person was already dead. Even if it was a matter of dismemberment or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. It was a matter of different cultures thinking that it was a delicacy to kill an animal in what we consider a torturous way so that whatever was fresh. And I'm like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, that is difference in cultures, and it's like... Ugh.
Now that bothered me.
Yeah.
Because in my belief system, it is not to cause pain to anything. Even if you're going to consume it, that animal is supposed to die without pain.
That's how I feel, and that's honestly, like, if I ever was, like, forced to hunt, heaven forbid, I would literally be crying the whole time. And I would be apologizing, but at the same time be like, it's okay, thank you. I thank you. You're going to give me food.
Right.
And I hope wherever you go that you understand that this had needed to happen. And I thank you for your sacrifice that was made today.
That is one of the things, that there are certain animals that were designed to be eaten. Mm-hmm. You know?
I just want it to be done and, like, quick.
Well, and that's
quick
the reason.
Over with it, because there's no reason for them to suffer.
No, it's not. That's the reason that it is important that people practice as far as using the weapons and everything like that. That they get an accurate shot. That you have what you need for the for the slaughter of the animal, so that it doesn't suffer. Mm-hmm. And because we've seen people, it's deer hunting season or very close to it here. And, you know, a lot of people have been indoctrinated, oh, they're killing Bambi. But they have never seen deer wasting disease.
Yeah. And
which causes paralysis.
And that's due to overpopulation.
Yeah. And we have, the deer have gotten so thick here over the past several years.
They sort of do need to be, for lack of a better term, weeded out
They need to be. The herd needs to be thinned out because people, I mean... just about every week you'll see one or two that has been hit by a vehicle, that they've gotten that dense. I mean, we can sit out in the yard and there's times it'll be anywhere from, 5 to 9 of them just in the yard. They've lost their fear of humans and people are like, oh, that's so cute. No, it's not.
No. Because guess what? That wasting disease can actually make people sick too.
Yeah. But it's a horrific disease for the animals. It's almost like polio for them, their hindquarters, and they suffer.
Yeah.
So would it not be better to go through there and harvest the animals so that it thins out the herd, people can have the meat and use that? Or would it be better to let the animals become diseased, possibly lose all of the herd and have to euthanize them, that or sit there and watch them suffer?
It'd be better just to harvest.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and for the vegans, we're not slamming anybody. You do what you're led to do.
Just don't shove it down our throats, please.
Right. I'm not out here saying everybody has to be a carnivore.
We're looking at you, that vegan teacher. You go to hell.
No.
Because you're just an evil person.
Well, even with the gruesomeness.
You're just as bad as PETA.
With the gruesomeness, where people ponder, why aren't you grossed out at this? Why are you grossed out at this? Instead of it being an individual response, to sit there and go, oh, you're disgusting that you would laugh at that, or how could you look at that, or why do you? It's not a matter. Anybody who thinks that they've got it all figured out, well, they need to go ahead and ascend and leave the rest of us schlepping along down here trying to figure it out.
Leave us schleps.
Right. Because if you talk with someone instead of at someone, you can actually find out things.
Right.
To sit there and go, okay, explain to me, this doesn't bother you. Can you, how is it that this doesn't bother you? And not in an accusatory way or anything like that, but in a truly inquisitive way, to find out their life experience, how it is. I mean, God love them. Some of these Vietnam vets, and I truly mean God love them, that those people saw horrors that have left them scarred all these years. Now, some of the folks that we have left, probably in their 70s, some of them in their 80s. And, I think most of the World War II vets have already gone on. But any of these people that saw the horrors of war and the atrocities that people can do to other people, trust me, as far as they either won't watch these horror movies at all because they've seen worse, or they can watch them and not blink an eye.
Yeah.
Because they've seen worse.
Yep.
So
they've seen true.
They truly have.
Gruesome.
And we need people that can do gruesome when it need be, because how would somebody be a surgeon? How would they be a first responder?
Right. How would they be an EMT?
Right. So, those people with that are making what may seem insensitive comments during some of these gruesome movies or even life events, don't judge them.
Yeah.
And some of us do just have a dark sense of humor.
I mean, it's funny to joke about whacking your boss over the top of the head with a croquet mallet.
Yes, but you don't actually do it.
Yeah, of course. But you can joke about it.
Sure, you should be able to joke about it. But there are people that want to take away other people's... Oh, you don't even say. Look.
Well, fuck you. Who are you to say that I can't say this?
Right. Exactly.
Just because it's offensive to you doesn't mean it's offensive to anyone else.
Let he who's without sin cast the first stone.
First of all, why are you offended in the first place? Check yourself about that before you check me.
Well, that was like the original Pet Cemetery. And went to a theater, was in college, and roommate who was an accounting major, God love her, it's one reason the girl hasn't talked to me in 30 some years, because I was in nursing. And when we went to see this, she was very beige. And even then, I've always been goth. I just didn't know what the term was.
Yeah.
And so when you had the dead cat that was frozen on the ground and they were trying to pick it up, and I'm just like, because I didn't have ADHD medicine then either, I'm like, oh, look, kitty sickle. And it's like everybody had turned around and it's like those sideways glances of, oh, God, she really just said that.
That's like me with Jason X, where he froze this lady's head and bashed it on the countertop, and it shattered everywhere. I was looking like, it's crushed ice.
Yeah.
Who wants a snow cone?
Right. And the fact that this, now, would our response be different if this was for real?
Oh, if it was for real, yeah.
And so it is not an abnormal thing to make fun of fear, to confront fear. You know, certain things that you find gruesome, you have to ask yourself, why is this gruesome to me? You know?
Yeah.
And those of us that have had to deal with the gruesome in various and sundry, and it's not blood and gore. It can be gruesome, very much so, to counsel somebody that has been brutalized when they were a child, or even as an adult, and that type thing.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different gruesome.
Absolutely.
So this Halloween, celebrate the funny gruesome.
Yeah.
You know, understand that it's a plastic leg hanging off of the tree. It's not a real eyeball that has been made into an ice cube for your drink. That's not real.
The gummy eyeballs.
Not real brains, hopefully, that has been used in the Jell-O mold. Yeah.
Smooth brain gang.
So there's lots of fun things. Have fun with it. You know, examine yourself to sit there and go, wonder why I do have this disgust response. A disgust response in humans a lot of times has to do with fear of disease and pathogens.
Yeah.
And smells. Oh God, that was one of the reasons why I knew that I needed to get out of nursing.
Because the smells will just stick with you.
Oh yeah.
You can't get rid of them.
No, and it's like it doesn't matter how many times you bathe, you're just like, oh, ew, ew.
The nasty.
Yeah. And it wasn't that, I mean, there were just different, I will not go into detail of why certain things smell the way that they do.
Yeah.
A lot of times it has to do with acids and bile salts and different things like that. In that disgust response to try to protect yourself from something that could be contagious. Yeah. Then thank God we have people that can deal with those things to work in nursing homes.
Yeah.
And hospitals, and yeah.
Also keep track of how those people treat those elderly people and in the homes.
Right.
Because some of them get mistreated.
They do.
Horrendously.
Yeah, elder abuse is something that's very underreported.
If you notice even just the inkling of abuse there, report it.
Well, that is one of the wonderful things that's going on right now. If you have a loved one that is challenged and needs help, that family members, that there are, at least there are here in Virginia and other places, that family members can get paid to be the caretakers. Mm-hmm. And that's a great thing. You know,
yeah.
Because that you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about some stranger doing something bad. And even those strangers that do things bad, it's like this, they should have had enough self-awareness to go, hey, this job is getting to me, I need help. They need to have support and counseling available to those people also, because it will weigh on you.
Right.
So, anyhow, but happy gruesome.
Yeah.
Get you a jolly brain mold. Peel you some grapes and scare the children's.
Yes.
That was always the fun thing, and let them put their hand in it and without them knowing what it is and say, oh, it's eyeballs.
Some string on a stick or whatever, hang it above your door.
And of course the spaghetti, and tell them it's worms. It's psyops for kids.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of fun things that you can do. Mm-hmm. And to make fun of fear. So gruesome. Explore that.
Make you a graveyard cupcake.
Oh yeah, graveyard cupcakes are great.
A little dirt cake.
Dirt cakes are great too. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Anyhow, if you've had experiences with paranormal, supernatural, encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, if you've had a gruesome experience, you know, if you've got family, regional myths, legends.
Tell us your stories.
Sure, tell us your stories. If you can't deal with gruesome and want to tell us why you can't deal with gruesome, you know. Mm-hmm. if you're one of these people that can't deal with those of us that are goth, tell us that
Or
too.
just have a dark sense of humor in
It's all
general.
the same thing.
Yeah.
So send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. He's peering at me, and I don't know. It's like, what do you want? What do you want? You're in my space.
I'm just waiting.
Okay. Thank you for sharing coffee with us. Know
Yes.
that you're very loved.
Yes.
And we'll see you on the next cup. Bye.
Bye. Subscribe. Subscribe.